Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the most powerful slash broken slash OP moves in each and every Kingdom Hearts game. Not every, because I'll be honest, I haven't played all of them to the fullest extent, but most of them. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, before we get into this, I want to say that it's really, for me, it was really hard to choose one particular move that was really above all the other ones. So as such, I just went ahead and picked a few choices, and we'll go ahead and talk about them. So let's get started with Kingdom Hearts 1, of course. Now, Kingdom Hearts 1 is not unbalanced per se, but there are some really powerful and borderline broken moves. First, I want to get into this one. This is Hurricane Blast. Now, Hurricane Blast is an ability that is Final Mix exclusive. It was not on the original version of KH1. Essentially, when you're doing air combos, that thing does a lot of fucking damage. And I wouldn't call it broken per se, but it is really powerful nonetheless. Okay, going on to the next one. This one is also really powerful, but I wouldn't really call it broken or OP per se, but this one is Trinity Limit. Now, Trinity Limit is one of those abilities that you don't really use too much against bosses because it just takes so long to activate. However, against Heartless, like regular, like you gotta hoard a Heartless in front of you, you gotta take them out real quick. Trinity Limit really is the move to go. Now, this next one is kind of broken, I'm not gonna lie. This is Ars Arcanum. Literally, spam triangle, time those hits, and you do a fat chunk of damage. I used to use this in my level 1 run, and it really did help me out a lot. Same goes for Strike Raid. Strike Raid, in my case, even more so, because I don't know, I was just more of a fan of Strike Raid. I guess I could just better time those hits than with the Ars Arcanum, but yeah, Strike Raid, just as powerful as Ars Arcanum. It takes a little bit less AP if I remember correctly. It's just as powerful, if not better. At least it's more to my personal preference when I'm playing. I always would pick Strike Raid when compared to Ars Arcanum. Moving on to Kingdom Hearts Reach Shadow Memories, this game has some broken moves. Of course, the classic Lethal Frame. Lethal Frame really is kind of broken because you literally freeze time, wail on the enemy, they take a lot of damage. Next one up is one from Riku's story, Dark Aura. Not a lot of people talk about this, but this thing really is powerful, especially when talking against bosses on the Castle Oblivion floor. When you got that like really crazy deck with a bunch of 9s, you can just spam Dark Aura and not win with just Dark Aura, of course. You can pretty much take half the boss's HP, especially against a Riku replica. That thing is essentially a death sentence to this guy because he takes a lot of damage from it, doesn't have that much HP, and it's literally the easiest move to do. You literally just stack 3 9s, press triangle, you're good. You don't have to do anything else, and that move does a ton of damage. Moving on to one of, if not my favorite moves. This is, in my opinion, more useful than Lethal Frame. I know someone's gonna put me in some hot water in the comments, but this, in my opinion, is a better move than Lethal Frame, and that is, of course, the one that I love, that I talked about on this channel many times, Sonic Blade. Sonic Blade is something else, man. All you need to do is have a bunch of CP. Don't upgrade your HP at all. Put in a bunch of high value cards. I don't really remember what the specific value and requirements for Sonic Blade are. I'll put them on screen right now if you want to use it for yourself if you haven't tried it yet. Sonic Blade is essentially broken as shit. Spam triangle, and that's it. It does a lot of damage if you stack it up with a bunch of Sonic Blades, like 5 or 6 or 7 Sonic Blades, and you stack up some good magic like Firagas and Blizzagas and maybe an elixir, high potion, stuff like that. And with Sonic Blade, you don't have to worry about anything because you can't die. If you don't allow the enemy to stock cards, which you won't if you keep spamming Sonic Blade, the enemy is not even going to be able to do a damn thing. That's also one thing I gotta mention. They're not going to be able to stock cards. They're not going to be able to attack you if you spam it fast enough. That's pretty much it. Moving on to Kingdom Hearts 3:58 over 2 days. Now, Days, in my opinion, and this might be a little bit controversial, there's not really that many broken moves. Like, Days overall, to me, even though the gameplay is not the most fun thing in the world, generally speaking, Days to me seems like a really overall balanced game, I gotta say. The one move that I guess could stand out in this one is Limit Break, which essentially just hold down one button and you just go around smashing everything in your way. I don't think there's any other move that could really compare to Limit Break. That's the only pick I have for Days. As I said, Days is generally pretty balanced. Moving on to Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix specifically. Now, I'm not gonna be talking about the vanilla version because that one doesn't really have that many OP things compared to Final Mix, which has Limit Form and Reflect. Now, of course, Reflect was a thing in the original Kingdom Hearts 2, but apparently, as far as I've heard, it might have been buffed when they made 2 Final Mix. So, but I'm not sure about that one. Please correct me in the comments if I am wrong about that. Also, real quick before we continue with the video, I want to ask you guys to really quickly do me a favor and subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the video if you like it, as it would help me out a lot as we are trying to get to 1,500 subscribers by the end of this year. Regardless, in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, you have Limit Form and Reflect as the most OP things in the game. Literally, Limit Form when you're alone, when you're fighting one-on-one, especially the Roxas fight, the first Xemnas fight, essentially any boss fight now that I think about it, Limit Form is the way to go. It takes only 4 drives, and when you have a lot more drive, it just becomes a lot more useful because you can just literally spam it. Like towards the end of the game, you can literally just spam that shit like one after the other. The limits are extremely powerful. You have 4 limits to choose from. My personal favorite is Sonic Wave, of course. It gives you a lot of HP back, does a lot of damage. I don't know what more can you ask for in a drive form. Literally, Limit Form is, in my opinion, the best form in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, and sometimes it really is kind of broken now that I think about it. Reflect, let's go ahead and talk about Reflect a little bit. Like I said, Reflect, I believe it was buffed a little bit when Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix was made, but if it wasn't, it doesn't really matter because Reflect in general, when you upgrade it, not at particularly at the first level, but when you get to the max level, Reflega, I think it's called, when you get to that point, Reflect is fucking amazing. You could spam that shit and do so much damage. It's kind of surreal, dude. Probably, in my opinion, the best spell in Kingdom Hearts 2 by far. I mean, not only does it protect you, it literally does a shit ton of damage. Now, moving on to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, I wouldn't really say that there are particularly broken moves in Birth by Sleep, but there are some goddamn powerful moves. Any Surge ability, or whatever you want to call it, it's not an ability. Any Surge in Birth by Sleep, especially Thunder Surge. Thunder Surge, I think, is the most powerful one. Honorable mentions would be Mind Square. Literally any shot locks, like shot locks when leveled up, are such a big deal in Birth by Sleep. They are such a good thing, and they do a lot of damage. Yeah, I think you're invincible during most of them, so shot locks are amazing. Another honorable mention that I want to add is the ability EXP Walker. You literally get XP while walking. Just walk and you're gaining experience. I don't know what else to say. It can be considered broken a little bit, but I don't know. I like it. I don't think it necessarily defeats the point of the game, because I don't think anyone would in their right mind be walking all this time to get to max level. But then again, what do I know, right? Anyway, moving on to the next game, which is going to be Dream Drop Distance. Now, Dream Drop Distance is one of those games that I haven't played too much. I'm not really a fan of it per se. Not really even because of the story. I know a lot of people don't like Dream Drop Distance because of the story, but I don't have an issue with Dream Drop Distance's story that much. The time travel, yes, it can be a bit confusing, but it's not that bad. I just haven't really found Dream Drop Distance to be fun to play, and the little bit that I did play of it over the course of the last few years, definitely I gotta say, of course, the classic balloon ability is like really OP, and of course you got flow motion, the basic ones that everyone's been talking about for years that are OP. Same goes for my opinion about Dream Drop Distance. As someone who hasn't played a lot of Dream Drop Distance, let's acknowledge that. I'm gonna also skip a Recoded because I'll be completely honest with y'all, I have not played through Recoded ever. I never finished Recoded. Again, I wasn't really a fan of the gameplay. The story wasn't really something that had too much of a point. I watched the cutscenes, but that's about it. Recoded is just one of those games I just don't like. Moving on to, of course, Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm not going to be talking about the mobile games because I really haven't played much of them, and also the whole discontinued thing. Yeah, I don't want to get into that. And also, of course, Melody and Memories, not really, there's not really anything to talk about because it's a rhythm game, so yeah. Let's go ahead and wrap this up with Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3, of course, Keyblade transformations in general, I would say that the most OP ones would definitely be Double Form. That's kind of like broken, and Counter Shield can also kind of be considered broken because it does such a fat amount of damage. I don't know, maybe it's not broken, maybe it's actually kind of okay balanced. I don't know what to think about this one. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I guess I could mention the shot locks, which are really powerful. I think they're a little bit more powerful in Birth by Sleep. I don't use them too much in KH3, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I do think that shot locks are pretty powerful in KH3 nonetheless. Wouldn't call them broken per se, but they are powerful anyway. But with that said, I want to wrap this video up about the most powerful abilities in every Kingdom Hearts game. I know I technically didn't cover every one of them, but I covered most, okay? Sorry for the clickbait. But regardless, if you like this video, leave a like on it and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as it helps me out a lot. We are trying to get to 1,500 subscribers, as I said, by the end of this year. And also, thank you so much for watching this video. Until next video stream, bye bye.